Today is Monday, Parashat Shelach. Parashat this week, Moshe Rabbeinu sends 12 spies, one from each one of the tribes, to spy on the land of Canaan. They come back, 10 gave a very negative report. They spoke Lashon Hara about the land of Israel. And 2, Yoshua bin Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh spoke positively. The Parashah teaches us the great severity of Lashon Hara, of evil speech. They spoke negatively about the land of Israel. Not only did they do themselves the wrong thing, but also the people that heard those reports and believed in them were also at fault. They started crying rather than have faith in Hashem that everything is going to work out. And because of that, the punishment was that the time of staying in the desert, which should have been shorter or otherwise, was stretched to last for 40 years. 40 years, all the people that were present there that believed above the age of 20 died in the desert rather than go into the land of Israel. And here we learn that even if speaking about Lashon Hara, about a land which is not a person, doesn't have emotions, doesn't have feelings, is something so negative and so bad that they got punished that way. More so when a person speaks Lashon Hara about another person who can get definitely offended, who can get impacted negatively by that Lashon Hara, creating prejudice in the eyes of others. That a person has to be very careful of anything that he says, that it may not be understood in a negative way about someone. Even if it's true, even if something that is said is true, it has the definition of Lashon Hara. When it's something negative about the person, that would be to his detriment. And here what happened actually, the spies that came back and reported negatively about the land of Israel, they saw certain things and they didn't perceive the positive aspect of them. They already had in mind, possibly, according to many commentators, they already had bad intentions in mind. So what they saw, they explained it, they interpreted it in a negative way. One of the examples, they went into different cities and they saw funerals taking place. Important people from that city had just passed away. There were many funerals going on. And they said, Eretz ochelet yoshvea. This is the land that devours its people. Look how many people die, how many people go to funerals. They did not realize that it was actually a blessing in disguise. That Hashem had timed the funerals to be just when they entered that city. Because typically, spies may not be dressed the same way or speak the same language as the locals. They could be recognized as people who are foreigners or people who are here to spy the land. So Hashem made it so that the locals would be busy and preoccupied with their funerals rather than noticing these people that came from outside of their country. And that was supposed to be to their benefit, but they interpreted it in a negative way. What they saw, they did not perceive that Hashem was doing a great favor for them. Now that's what happens many times when people speak Lashon Hara. They could see something to the eyes of many, could be something that has nothing wrong with it or something positive, but they describe it and they interpret it and they perceive it in a negative way. And the Parashah of this week that starts with the story of the spies follows last week, the end of last week's Parashah, when Miriam was punished with tzarat, with leprosy, because she spoke negatively about her brother Moshe, to teach us the connection between the two. That sometimes people don't realize and don't learn the lessons that are to be learned. But the close proximity of these two subjects highlights the great severity of Lashon Hara and how we should be very careful with it. Just like the Pasuk in Tehillim says, Mi ha'ish hafetz hayim, who's the person who wants to live a good life. And the end of that this pasuk there goes, Netzol leshoncha mera usfatecha midaber mirmai. Guard your tongue from saying things that are negative and your lips from speaking deceit. The way that the person could really lead a fulfilled and happy life is the more he's very careful of not saying negative things about others, of being careful of how he uses his power of speech, the more he can benefit with a life that is fulfilled and meaningful. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.